We all know that owning a small business means you wear many hats, but sometimes you really need an extra pair of hands. Upwork is how good companies find great and trusted freelance talent. With more than 2 decades of experience, with the simple and ambitious goal of pioneering a better way of working, companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in staffing key projects and initiatives. They access a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web dev, marketing, and more. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, and get help drafting a job post or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them and take your business to the next level. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com.
This is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark fan. And on today's episode of Girls Gone Hallmark, we are discussing The Chicken Sisters, Season 2, Episode 3, Daddy's Home, y'all. As a reminder, we are doing things a little bit different for The Chicken Sisters. Wendy has stepped away from these reviews, and I'm joined by a rotating cast of co-hosts. And joining us for Episode 3 is Sidney Child, the woman behind the absolutely adorable Instagram account, Merry Movie Club. You cover a ton of Hallmark content over there, but it's also Hallmark and Hallmark adjacent. It's really totally in line with the kind of content I like. Feel-good books, TV shows, movies. I would say Hallmark is a heavy piece of that, but there's a lot more, which is great. Thank you for being here, Sidney.
Thank you for having me. I am honored. I am a longtime listener. I love your podcast. So when you reached out, I was like flattered. And I'm just so excited to meet you and be here and chat all things Chicken Sisters and Hallmark and hopefully do you proud. I told you this earlier, but I've only been, I think, on one other podcast before. So I'm a newbie here.
Well, you'll be great. This is easy. Can you
Safe space.
Tell us a little bit how Merry Movie Club came to be?
Yes, I would love to. So I, for years, have been just talking Hallmark movies with my friends and family, always recruiting them to watch, some of my favorites. And I have a personal Instagram that I hardly ever use, but I started kind of posting little like, oh, hey, I watched this Christmas movie tonight and I loved it. And here's why. And some of my friends were like, you should make a separate account and like review these for real. And so I just did. I literally less than 2 years ago in October, so right before the 2023 Christmas season, I just started a new Instagram page. And you mentioned this already, but I just talk all things Hallmark movies and Hallmark adjacent, Hallmark-esque, like books and movies on Netflix and some of the other networks. And I'm just very passionate about like clean, happy, wholesome entertainment. I'm 30, so it's a little more rare for girls my age, I think, to watch Hallmark and some of these other shows. So I'm just trying to make it cool, for girls my age. And I'm like, hey, there's really cool content on Hallmark and we don't have to watch, some of the other stuff that isn't as like clean and wholesome. So it's just something I'm passionate about and it's been so much fun.
Yeah, I feel the same way because I feel like even though you are much younger than Wendy and I are, but I still feel like we sometimes are on the younger end of the spectrum. And I sometimes feel like, no, like, come on over. Like, there's some good stuff here. So
there's great stuff here. And especially recently, I feel like it just every season, I feel like keeps getting better and better. So I've slowly been recruiting my friends over and, I'll host like movie nights and we'll watch some of my favorites. And it's just fun. I just think it's fun to chat about movies and books and all the happy things.
Yeah. Now you liked Providence Falls on Hallmark.
Loved. Yes. One of my favorite, if not my favorite Hallmark series of all time.
Were you surprised by how split people were on their feelings about that series?
I have been, yes, because I just loved it. I
Yeah.
loved every
Yeah.
second of it. And I loved it from the very beginning. I mean, there were elements of it, right? Like it's a Hallmark series. So there's elements, that are a little confusing or a little cheesy. But for the most part, I loved it from like minute one of episode one. And so the fact that there were some people that didn't connect with it, I'm like, you got to rewatch it. I don't know, give it another chance.
Yeah, I really feel the same way too. And it's hard because some people just don't connect with certain things, and that's totally fine. Like some things don't hit for me either, but I'm like, no, I don't think you're getting how good this really is, like the production value and the storytelling and the acting. And I think it was so different from what people have been conditioned to expect that some people had a hard time getting into it, but I do think it's worth a second look. Like if you know what it is now that it's out there. I think people were confused too, like what they were going to get. They're like, what's a trilogy? That's not something we've really seen before. Like it's usually a collection of loosely related movies.
Yes. And is it a mystery? Is it a romance?
Yeah.
Is it time travel? Is it just a period piece? Like there's a lot of elements to it that I think feel a little bit confusing. Even when I watched the trailers, I was even confused. I was like,
Same.
honestly, I don't know what this is, but Evan Roderick's in it. So like I'm in because I love him. But I ended up falling in love with the whole cast and the whole premise. But I will say I rewatched all three of the movies. And it was even better for me the second time through because it just felt a little less confusing. I was like, okay, I know like what genre this kind of is. I know what to expect. I was able to pick up on a lot more of the details. So for me, I like loved it on the first round, but it was definitely a little confusing and like getting settled into it. And then the second round was like just 5 out of 5 perfect for me.
Yeah, I think you're right about it. The promotion being a little confusing because I didn't even know. I was like, I went into it thinking it was a time travel series. And then I read the books and I was like or I read the first book and I was like, oh wait, that's not what this is at all. So I had to reorient my expectations for it. But
Same. I was expecting like Biltmore Christmas, like a classic time travel.
Yes,
It was
exactly.
not that. It's
No.
not that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears and talk the Chicken Sisters before we talk this specific episode. I would love to hear your personal history or lack thereof, wherever you are with the Chicken Sisters. Did you watch season 1? If you did, what did you think? Where are you with season 2?
Yes, I would love to. When you reached out for this podcast, I told you this on Instagram. I was like, I've never seen this show, but I'm happy to give it a try and, join the podcast and talk about it. So I did watch like back when season 1 aired, I did watch the first episode. I just didn't like totally get hooked. I honestly was just kind of bored. And then I just didn't end up watching the rest of the season. I didn't feel like I saw a lot of people talking about it or raving about it. And there's so much content, as you know. There's so many options. I work full time. I have a 3-year-old. So like you really got to pick and choose. I get like maybe one episode of something a day and that's about it on a good day. So I didn't end up watching it. So for this, we're reviewing episode 3 today. I did start with season 2 just as it's airing. So I have watched episodes 1 and 2 and then the 3 that we talk about today. So it's definitely confusing jumping into season 2, not having seen season 1, but I did my best.
Well, we can, and as those questions come up, we can talk about those this episode.
I have a lot of questions for you.
Yeah. You're right. I don't think people talk about this show. I mean, you'll hear my thoughts on it. I think this show is definitely not for everybody. I think season 2 overall is so much better than season 1. I really like it. I understand the complaints about it. Wendy obviously doesn't enjoy it, which is why she was like, I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah. So we are going to jump into the Chicken Sisters season 2, episode 3 thoughts. Before we do that, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back with our first impressions. All right, Sydney, what was your first impression of Daddy's Home, y'all?
Okay, so this episode to me feels like it was a growth episode, like a lot of character growth happening. And again, I don't have the full context of season 1, but it just felt like there were so many moments that were pivotal for a lot of the characters. Obviously, May's meeting her daddy for the first time. She also goes to, we can give spoilers, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. She goes to her mom, Gus, right?
Gus, yeah.
And like says thank you. And they have this beautiful moment. We have I believe her name's Frankie, the teenager, like has her first kiss with her boyfriend. There was like this friendship where I'm gathering that they were like rivals before and now they're friends, and they had a couple really sweet moments together. We have like Frank Jr. seems like he's kind of going to have like a character arc situation with like this new chicken restaurant. There just seemed like every single character had a moment of like growth. And it's like, maybe I'm wrong because I don't have the full context, but that's what it seemed like. First impressions.
Yeah, I think that's accurate too. And I think we're seeing like all the reactions to everything that the groundwork is laid in season 1. So
Okay.
I do think we talked about this in episode 1, our review. Leah Thompson, who directed the first episode, she was like, y'all can jump in season 2. You don't need to have seen it. And we were like, well, of course, the star of the show, the director of the show is going to say, yeah, you don't have to do the homework.
Come on over,
right?
come watch our show.
Yeah, and I do think it's watchable, but I do think they are building so much on the foundation laid. I mean, that's natural, right? I agree. This was an absolute growth episode. A lot of my likes use that word growth. For me, my first impression is we got an email from listener Paula, who is a regular emailer of the show, and she ended the email with, "I hope I'm not bothering you, Paula. We love your emails, even if you don't agree with us." But what she said was she's a big fan of the show, is very disappointed that people don't love it as much as she does. But she pointed out, and I think it's really important to note, is that this town, this show is all about the women. The women are the ones in power. The women are the ones moving the storyline forward. And that's kind of unique in storytelling, period. But I think especially storytelling on Hallmark, to have like this town that's centered around like all of these strong women, and the men really aren't doing anything to move them forward. So I think watching this episode especially, and this season through those eyes, my favorite characters are all the women.
It's very girl power, but it's like, it's subtle though. It's not, in my opinion, from the the few episodes I've seen, it's not this like obnoxious in your face like theme they're trying to throw at you. It's actually like pretty subtle, but you're right, it's totally empowering these women living their lives, showing like the highs and lows. So I like that perspective. That's cool.
Yeah, and I don't think it's the women being in power at the expense of the men, really, because I think it's almost like in spite of them. Like, it's not like we're pushing the men down. It's like, look, we're finding our own. Nancy, Amanda, they're really coming into their own on their own, not, at the expense of the men in their lives. So with that said, let's talk about what you liked from this episode.
Okay, I wrote down a few things. Number 1, the chemistry between Amanda and is his name Sergio? Is that the other chef? Amazing chemistry. I was not expecting that, again, because I have no idea what's going on. So I'm just like piecing this all together. Amazing chemistry. I loved the date that kind of ended up turning into their date, and how they ended it. And he just gives her this big hug, and there's like a really cool narration behind it. Loved their chemistry. It like made me want to go back and watch season 1 to understand like the foundation there and like what their backstory is, because I'm sure you're probably like, yes, there's there's some background, and I could tell. And then I obviously loved the moment where May meets her dad for the first time. I just thought that was like so sweet. I teared up, even though I haven't, I don't know these characters. I still teared up. Like, it was just a really emotional moment. There's a couple more. Do you want me to keep going? Okay, so there was I think this was towards the beginning of the episode. I'm trying to remember. There was like the background, not background, the flashback of Gus and Clayton from when they were younger. And it kind of showed this montage of them dating and falling in love and then getting pregnant and then him leaving, kind of the heartbreak there. I just thought that was like a really beautiful kind of like insight into their story, and showing again like the highs and the lows. It was very like romantic and swoony, but then you have like this heartbreak at the end, and then obviously it cuts to current day. And so it was kind of cool to have that insight of her like dating the hot popular football player. I'm like, you go, girl.
Yeah, the Franny's boy and the Mimi's girl for sure.
Yes, super cool. And then again, last thing I wrote down was just the friendship it seems like has blossomed between those two, the families that you just mentioned. Because the one episode I did watch in the very first season, very first episode was like this big rivalry. And so I was like, oh, they're friends now. Okay, that's sweet.
Yeah, the whole first season arc is about, the Frannies and the Mimis rivalry. And then they kind of come together against a common enemy who is now Frank Jr. and Christian, Mr. Chicken. Your point about Sergio and Amanda, I really feel like this season is a little bit of redemption because in season 1, Amanda was in a terrible marriage with Frank Jr., but she has this relationship with Sergio. I think they only kiss one time, but she's definitely having an emotional affair at the very least. And so viewers are kind of torn. You're like, well, I hate Frank Jr., but she's still married. So she needs to make a decision, right? Like she needs to leave her marriage. It doesn't absolve her of blame simply because her husband sucks. And he does suck.
Frank Jr. sucks.
He does. He's the absolute worst. And at the end of the season 1, Amanda has left Frank Jr. and she's telling Sergio, like, I'm not saying never, but I need time to find myself. And this season starts 9 months in the future and she's still very single and still not interested in dating. And I think it's really smart. Like, we did not want to see her jump into a relationship with Sergio. And I think it gives the viewers time to care about that relationship when it happens in a safer place, so to speak.
Okay. Yes.
So I like the timing of like Sergio showing up. He's still real nervous and uncomfortable around her, but they had that nice, very platonic dinner together.
Yes. Nice little dinner, nice hug at the end, supporting each other. So question for you. Why is Frank Jr. dragging his feet on signing the divorce papers? Hopefully that doesn't open like total Pandora's box, but I was curious on that one piece.
Yeah, it's a power thing. Like one of the big storyline reveals at the end of season 1 is a lot of the rivalry between the two families was based kind of in falsehoods and exaggerated experiences that the men had perpetuated in order to get the women fighting, so to speak. Like it was a power move. Like the men wanted to have power of the women and this is how they did it. Okay. And so I think it just trickles down. Frank Sr., who's Frank Jr.'s dad, Nancy's husband who has passed, he was a big part of that. He was a bad guy too. And so the men in the town have exerted power over the women to get them to do what they have wanted. And I think we're just seeing Frank Jr. continuing that. Like this is the only card he has to play is I'm not going to sign the divorce papers. He has nothing else left. Like,
yeah. Okay.
There's nothing else.
The control thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some other things I liked talking about growth. I love seeing Gus's growth. Now in episode 1, our review, Brian Harold, our co-host, was like, I don't buy it. Like, I don't think it's true to who she is. And I thought that was an interesting take. But now seeing, we're a couple episodes in, I think I can trust her transformation. Now, I don't think that means we're not going to get her snapping back to who she was. I don't think that means there's not going to be something this season that pushes her back into her real defensive place. But she's finally in a place where she feels safe. She has people showing up for her. She doesn't have to keep secrets. She knows that people are going to let her in. She has people looking out for her. I mean, she and Nancy live together. Yeah. And so I think therefore she's now able to give that back. She's able to be the parent that May needs her to be. And she's a good friend to Nancy. And she's doing things for other people. I buy it and I like it. I am afraid she's going to disappoint us a little later in the season when she gets pushed a little bit too hard.
She probably will, yeah.
Yeah. I really loved the scene when Clayton comes to her at the end and basically lays it all on the line. Because when Clayton was talking to May, my feeling was like, okay, but this is great. But she's 30, however many years old. Where have you been? Like, that's great that you get to come in and kind of be the hero now. But it kind of almost bothered me a little bit that May wasn't like, okay, but why weren't you ever here before? Yeah.
Where you been, buddy? Yeah. I thought the same thing. And I chalked it up to like, oh, well, I haven't, seen much yet, but it sounds like you have the similar sentiment of like, Okay, well, I could see, maybe the first few years of her life, he was young. I think they were in high school or college. And then even at the end when they have, this like heartfelt moment between him and Gus on her doorstep,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, he's going to explain it. Like, where have you been for 30 years? Why did you not come around? And he kind of did, right? He said something along the lines of like, I called and you disconnected your phone. I did come back and I saw you with May, and then you were also pregnant and I think remarried or something. Um, but I still was like, okay, yeah, but like that was still like what, 30 years ago, 28
Yeah.
years ago at this
Yeah.
point, probably. So it just feels like a lot of time has passed. And that one moment when he saw them when she was like 2 crossing the road, I'm like, okay, well, I still feel like you could have come back at some point from now, like from then and now. So I
Yeah,
don't
it was
know.
more about his relationship with Gus and his relationship with May. I feel like it's too easy for him to say, like, oh, she looked at you and you were all she needed. Okay, but that wasn't for you to decide.
Yes, I love that. It wasn't for
So,
him to decide. I'm like, she's
yeah.
2. She probably needs her dad.
Yeah. So I'm curious if we're going to explore that at all.
Mhm.
There's so much going on in this show that they can't get into every single, that may just be it. That it just may be, he says he'll regret it for the rest of his life and maybe we just move forward. I don't know.
Maybe we just have to accept it.
Yeah. Look, again, I still think Frank Jr. is the worst, but his dance montage where he finally gets fed up and makes edible chicken was
Yeah.
great. Really
And
funny,
the Bad
really fun to
Boy
watch.
song was like played
Yes.
in the background. That was funny.
Yeah, great. Um, Speaking of Sergio, when he says to Amanda, I wouldn't have left you in that dress, great. That was a great
Oh, yeah.
line.
Good line.
Another line is Frankie when she's trying to help Amanda get dressed. She says that dress looks like you still have a landline.
I wrote that
Ouch.
down too.
And finally, I think this is something that is lost on anybody who didn't watch season 1, the Lindsay and Frankie tension. To you, your read on them is that they are friends. Yes?
Who's Lindsay?
Lindsay is Sabrina's daughter, Frankie's friend who's visiting from New
Yes.
York.
I just thought she was just a random friend.
Yeah, so she is. She's Sabrina's daughter. So Sabrina was the host of Kitchen Clash.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And they met in town. They had some. Lindsay wasn't a great friend to Frankie. She was kind of using her to get like information about the show. They became friends. There was a lot of heavily suggested there's maybe some romantic feelings there. It was never said, but a lot of the
Between
viewers,
who?
Lindsay and Frankie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now,
Did not pick
yeah,
up on that at all.
I think it could be, if you wanted to miss it, you could miss it. If you're not hoping for it, you could miss it. I felt like the season finale, very much they both left in a place of, because Lindsay leaves and goes back to New York. I'm not alone in feeling this. A lot of us were like, something's there. And I loved the scene where Lindsay is talking about Dudley and she learns that Frankie has never kissed him. And her voice goes up when she talks about him. It's such a great acting choice because there is no doubt in my mind that whether they go there or not, they are hinting that there are feelings there. At least on Lindsay's behalf, I feel like it's shared.
Okay.
So I'm enjoying that tension. I hope we get there. I really do. I mean, I feel like this entire season is building towards the wedding and we're going to just get like reveal after reveal after reveal at the wedding. Yeah. But I did love her kind of having to push through that moment and be like, I'm going to be a good girlfriend and I'm going to get you your first kiss, even though this isn't the moment that I'm hoping for.
Okay, that is very helpful because I didn't pick up on that at all.
Yeah, and I don't think you would if you hadn't seen season 1 because
season 1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think it's as heavy-handed this season unless you're carrying over those feelings.
Yeah. That does make sense though because it doesn't seem like is it Dudley? They don't seem like Endgame.
No.
Like,
No.
Random boyfriend.
Yeah.
In this a couple times, like they're not making it seem like he's Endgame or anything. He's just kind of this like random character. Okay.
Yeah, the nickname Dud is not accidental.
Yeah, it feels like that. I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm good with this guy.
Well, let's talk about what we wished for in this episode.
Okay, I have one thing, and then I also have one that's kind of a question for you because I have a feeling it just needs some like answers from last season. Number 1, I wish that they wouldn't have cut scene so quickly after Clayton comes in and says like, I'm your daddy or I'm your dad. And then it just cuts scene. And then it like goes to a couple other random scenes and then comes back and then it cuts scene again and then comes back. I wish they would have just made that like a really emotional sit down. I'm meeting my dad for the first time. I've been waiting for him for 30 something years. Let's sit, let's have a conversation. Let's work through the awkwardness. Like, I just thought it was an opportunity for like a really emotional, heartfelt moment. And it was chopped into like 4 different scenes, split in like, split in between other scenes. So that was one wish that I have. And I do feel like that was a missed opportunity to kind of tug at our heartstrings a little bit more. What do you think about that? Did you notice that at all?
Well, I think it's a great point because I think the most awkward is like, how do we get from like, I'm your daddy to we're sitting in a booth together? Like,
yes,
there are moments there that they could have played up to make us, this is awkward, whether or not this is what May wanted. There's feelings here. There's
awkward.
Emotions here. Yeah. Let's see that play out. Because I honestly felt the whole time, I was like, it feels too easy. That's what I felt about that scene. Like he comes in,
yes,
he's like, I'm your daddy. And she sits down and talks to him. And back to my like, where have you been all this time? I really wonder if that's going to come into play because she was just so happy to hear all of these things from him. And I can understand that because this is a big missing piece in her life. But I felt like it is a little too easy.
Yes, it was so like, oh, okay, sit down. Let's have a nice tea. Like, let's chat.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I almost just wish they would have leaned into like the tension and the awkwardness and the unknown and just like showed us how that plays out. Cause that's like a real thing that happens for people in real life and, similar types of situations. And I would have loved for that to be like kind of like the epicenter of the episode a little bit. And instead, I feel like it was just like chopped into 3 or 4 different random scenes throughout. So I feel like that was a missed opportunity. But the second is, this is something I was a little confused about. The pastor and I don't know his name and Nancy are dating. And then there's like a situation with a trip and then she decides not to go, correct?
It's unclear to me if that decision has been made. It feels like he's questioning that decision. Because at the end of the episode, we see her looking back on her pageant photo album, and she still has, it's either plane or train tickets to Washington, D.C. Like, I paused. Those say, like, 1980 on them. Like, those are her old tickets. Yes. I mean, obviously, because nobody has a paper ticket anymore anyway. So I think she didn't go to Washington, D.C. because her husband didn't want her to. And now I don't think she's made the decision, but I think she's like, wait. He's not even telling her where they're going or what they're doing. He's just saying, I want you along with me. I want you to support me. Basically, I want you to be like the little lady. And she's like, wait, I've done this my entire life.
I've done that role.
Yeah. And she's getting this. She's like, I got this opportunity to fix this dang train arm.
Yeah.
Like, I can make a difference. I have some power now. So I hope she makes that choice.
Okay. I was unclear on that, but I'm glad it sounds like I'm not the only one. Because I was like, wait, did she decide? Did she not? Do we like this pastor? Do we not?
I mean, he seems fine.
Okay.
It was nice that Nancy has someone who, seems like a good guy, but is maybe not good enough for her.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think it would be a real disservice for us to lose Nancy for part of this season. Although I don't think she would, and I'm thinking time-wise, like we're building up to May's wedding, which is not that far away. So, I don't think time-wise, maybe it could be after that. Maybe it could be a season-long decision that she's making. Like maybe they're supposed to leave after the wedding. That's a little unclear to me. Okay. But I don't, she and Gus are in such a good place. I think it would break Gus's heart. You saw it a little bit, how she was like, wait, you're going to leave?
Yeah. Like I just got my friend and you're already going to leave. And there was a cute line. I don't remember what it was, but there was like a cute line there. Just kind of like hinting at that friendship and her struggling with the idea of her friend leaving for so long. So those are the 2 I wrote down.
Some wishes I have, where the heck is Jake Foy? He was such a fun addition to season 1. He has not been here. His partner Patrick is there. I mentioned he was visiting a sister. I hope he comes back for the wedding. It's just such a bummer. I really like him. He's not in this season.
Okay.
I'm sure he was off doing something else. That's the only explanation. Yeah. I would like to know who Amanda's daddy is. This is not a storyline we seem to have touched on. I actually went through I didn't remember it at all. I like searched the transcripts of our old episodes to see if we had discussed it. I read the synopses on the Hallmark website of season 1. I don't think they've touched it. If they have, please email us girlsgonehallmark@gmail.com and let me know. I even messaged someone else who's watched the show. I was like, do we know anything? Gus mentions it very briefly, kind of like snidely, like, oh, that was Amanda's daddy. Are we going to get that reveal? It's interesting that Amanda doesn't seem to care, that it hasn't come up. Again, there's a lot going on. Maybe she just has too much, and that's not on her radar right now. To your point, I hope Nancy doesn't leave. That was one of my wishes. Like, let the pastor go. Nancy needs to choose Nancy.
Yes, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, my notes say I kind of hate the writers, editor, director for making me like that Frankie and Dudley kiss. Not that I liked it, but Frankie seemed happy about it. And I really wanted it to be more of like a nothing burger where she was like, oh, that wasn't. Yeah. She seemed happy enough about it. Yeah. And I didn't really, like you said, Dudley is not her end game. So
he doesn't seem like it.
No, there's no way. There's no way. Frankie's one of the women of Merinac, and she needs more. She needs more.
Yeah, I think so too.
Do you have any did you see that moments to talk about?
Okay, let's see. I wrote down, it's the same joke that you already said, which I just thought was super cute, where she's getting ready for her date with her daughter sitting there, Frankie's sitting there, and she's like, you can't wear that. It looks like you still have a landline phone. And then Amanda like holds up a different dress and she's like, well, I can't wear that. And she's like, okay, well then you go ahead and show up looking like a pilgrim. Like, I just thought it was like cute mother-daughter banter. Yep. I love when Hallmark just like throws in little jokes like that. And then also when the sheriff, like at the end of he has to like leave mid-date and he like gives her a fist bump and he's like, yeah, send me a Venmo. Yeah. I'm like, oh gosh, just eye roll there.
Yeah, that was terrible. Like
so cringy.
He had the emergency call queued up, right? He was like, call me 30 minutes in so I can bail back.
For sure. He's like, I have an emergency. I'm like, no, you don't.
Come on. And it was so frustrating because he had pressured her to go out with him. He was like, I don't understand. In the beginning of the episode, he's like, why won't you go out with me? And I was like, whoa, red flag. Like, no is a complete
did he bail? Do we know? Because he was just...
it was her first date and she was processing, she couldn't stop talking about her past, as is to be expected. I mean, I guess, she knew she wasn't ready for this and everybody pushed her into it. Yeah. Kind of a bummer that Sheriff Lawrence sucked so much in that moment.
Just bails on her. She's like, it's been so hard as a mom and working through the divorce papers and all of this work. And then he's just like, oh yeah, sorry, gotta go. Fist bump. Venmo me. I'm like, oh goodness. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't even pay. It says,
Sheriff.
Send me a Venmo request.
Yes.
Come on. So you mentioned this earlier. You said, I don't know the pastor's name. They say it's Bo in this episode. And I have in my did to see I think that's the first time we've heard his name. I could be wrong. Oh, but in 13 episodes, I have never internalized his name. So I do believe it is Bo.
Okay, it's Bo.
It is Bo. I do believe we just learned that. The other thing is Amanda says, she's like, I haven't been on a date. She's like, my last date was with Frank Jr. when he took me to the Dairy Queen 17 years ago. Yeah. The math doesn't add up for me. Like Frankie has got to be 17. She's leaving for college soon. I mean, even if she got pregnant on their first date, which I don't suspect that she did. I'm like, the timing, make it 19 years ago. Like the timing isn't adding up for me.
Yeah, the math didn't totally work on that one.
No. All right. We have answered a lot of your Fresh Eyes questions, but are there any other questions, things that don't add up for you as a newer watcher?
Well, yes, a few things. I think we've touched on a few of them already. Okay, as I was watching season 2, and we've already kind of touched on this, I do think it's important to watch season 1 to fully understand what's happening in season 2. I was honestly so confused, like multiple times, and you're like trying to figure out who's who, like whose daughter is that?
Yeah.
Who's dating who's getting married. So I do think, I mean, you could say that about any show, right? Like, of course, it's going to help to watch season 1, but I think because there's so many characters, so many subplots, and just so much happening, like a lot of like flashbacks, and then you're like present and past. There's just a lot going on. I think you have to watch season 1. I think it's pretty crucial. So that's more of just like a comment I have. I also didn't know who I was like supposed to be rooting for. Like Frank Jr., right? This is like the first time I'm seeing him. So I'm like, okay, yes. So he sucks. Like I was like, we're not rooting for this guy, right? Like he's so annoying and he seems like he's not a good guy. But if you don't watch season 1, you're not going to pick up on that. So I was kind of like, wait, who are we rooting for? Even Gus, I was like, is it okay that she seems like really cold and disconnected and like doesn't seem super loving? Again, this is more just me brain dumping, but
I love it.
it's crucial or you're going to be really, really confused. Okay, we talked about Frank Jr. signing divorce papers. Oh, Gus, I would love to understand like her background. Like, has she always been single? Do we know? I mean, you kind of just said we don't know who Amanda's dad was. Now we know who May's dad was.
Yeah,
For season 1, was she single? Has she ever been married?
She was definitely single in season 1.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't get the impression Amanda's dad was in their life. The season 1 flashbacks we see of their childhood were of a very chaotic childhood, of May as the older sister really taking care of Amanda, of kind of doing what she could to shield Amanda from her mother's shortcomings. So it wasn't like they grew up in a 2-parent household.
Okay.
And I think that's, Gus had Clayton, who now we know left her, and Amanda's daddy, who did something. We don't know what caused him to leave. So she's distrustful of men. She has not had great experiences with men. And so she was very, not only single, but incredibly solitary in season 1. She was living in a hoarding situation. That's the whole thing with season 1. Like, she wouldn't let Amanda in because her house was packed to the gills. That comes out as a result of the show. The whole town steps in to help her solve the problem. And then she ends up, that's that iconic scene of her burning the house to the ground. She's like, this isn't salvageable. We need to start over, which leads her to moving into with Nancy.
Okay. I appreciate the background there because she's a complicated character.
She is.
Like she's got some layers to her character, and I wasn't sure with the romantic situation what that looked like. Okay, last question I think I have is actually I have 2 more. Sorry, I'll be quick.
Don't be sorry.
May's fiance, do we like him?
Yeah, he's great. He wasn't even in this episode, was he?
He wasn't in the episode, so I was like, do we like him? Who is this guy? Okay.
Yeah, he's great. He's in the first season, but we don't see him a lot. But May has basically lied to him in the first season about her past. He doesn't know that she's from this small town, and she doesn't want him to know. She doesn't want him to know like the kind of life that she led, the way that she grew up, and she keeps that all from him. He shows up at the end and he was like, I love small town life. This is great. Like, this is who you are. He's like super great and super supportive.
Okay.
He's in Providence Falls. He's Magnus in Providence Falls.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. I forgot about that. Okay. Because I watched episode 1 and 2 before I watched 3, so I wouldn't be like fully confused for this review. Okay, it's Magnus from Providence Falls.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, last question. What is the deal with the cluckery? Why is Frank Jr. making on his own making this chicken?
Yeah, so the first season it was Kitchen Clash, so it was Franny's versus Mimi's were the 2 chicken restaurants. Yes. Franny's is, Frank Jr. and Nancy and Amanda worked there, and Mimi was Gus, and then May came into town to help out, came in from New York to help out her mom. One of the judges was this guy, Mr. Chicken, who's Christian, who's like the toxic dude bro that you saw in the first 2 seasons. Yeah. He's like, there's no crying in your contract.
Yeah.
He kind of gets his claws into Frank Jr., and that's where Frank Jr. starts like trying to be a little tougher. Cut to the finale. Basically, they all jump ship, and Frank Jr. is on his own, and everyone is Team Mimi's. And so Frank Jr. wins on his own because Christian rigged the contest. Serena quits on set. Frank Jr. takes the prize money. This is convoluted. So anyway, Frank Jr. takes the prize money, and Christian, Mr. Chicken, is like, we're going to open this new franchise restaurant just out of town. In comes Shauna, who wasn't in this episode, but she was strongly in the first 2 episodes. And she was like, y'all, I'm rich. I'm going to invest in a franchise. We're going to franchise the Chicken Sisters. We're going to save everything. And so now it's not Franny's and Mimi's. It's 2 Chicken Sisters restaurants, which is a little bit confusing because there is a comment in this episode. They're like, oh, we learned all along that they were using the same recipe. And I was like, when did we learn that? Like, the whole point was that they were different restaurants with different recipes. Anyway, Frank now runs this franchise, The Cluckery, out of town. It's cold. It's dark. The food is terrible.
Yes.
He is starting to realize how terrible it is. And all the women and Sergio are running the two Chicken Sisters restaurants in town.
Okay, very helpful. Thank you for that. I was like, why are there so many chicken restaurants?
Yes.
Who's running which one? Okay.
It is a little weird because I was like, how are we running two Chicken Sisters restaurants in town? I think this season has been a little bit like, it's a little bit odd to me that it's happening, but they're all on the same team. And they kind of
They're
seem
two separate restaurants?
Yeah, it's Franny's and Mimi's, but they're now both Chicken Sisters.
Okay.
Just two separate locations. And they make a comment because there's no franchises allowed in town. I think that's the rule. That's why the Cluckery is right outside of town. They're like, oh, we got special permission from the mayor to have this franchise in town. So we have two locations. Okay. I don't understand how this town is big enough to support two
identical chicken restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bizarre. So
all right. That's very
anyway, that's that. Do you have a feathered friend of the week? Who did you love this week?
I wrote down two. Number one, Sergio, just because I'm excited to see where that relationship goes. And he seems just like a really sweet, supportive guy. And then number two is Clayton. We haven't seen a ton of him, but I'm just curious. Like, what are they going to do with this character? Is there going to be a romance with Gus? Is it just going to be like a really sweet relationship with May? Maybe he's a bad guy. Maybe he's a good guy. I'm just like really curious to see how that unfolds. So those were my two.
Mine this week is Amanda. She is pushing outside of her comfort zone. She has a nice connection with Sergio. And I liked there's nice parallel editing at the end of this episode with her hugging Sergio goodbye, Frankie getting her first kiss. Like, kind of neither of them is getting what they want in that moment. I really liked that. Yeah. And Amanda has kind of had a tumultuous start to this season with her being outed on the premiere. So I feel like she's starting to come into her own a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. She was great.
Well, Sidney, thank you so much for being here today. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you outside of the podcast?
I would love to. It's just at Merry Movie Club. Merry spelled like Merry Christmas. On Instagram. I'm trying to learn TikTok and Facebook, and it's too hard. So just Instagram for now at Merry Movie Club. And thank you again. This was so fun just to chat with you and meet you. I listen to your podcast all the time. So
I loved this. This was a great time. We will, of course, link Sidney's Instagram in our show notes so you can check that out. Thank you for listening to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Bramble Jam podcast. If you love this podcast, we love your 5-star ratings and reviews. We'll be back next time with more Hallmark reviews. Goodbye. All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.